Hello guys, and welcome to the series of shell scripting. In this video we are going to talk about loops and specifically look at the for loop. Along with that we will create a shell script to add any number of users in the system. So let's begin. Loops are basically the shell features which allow the functionality of logical repetition of tasks. For example, suppose you want to create 50 users in the system. For instance, from user 1, user 2 till user 50. In that case, you have to run add user command 50 times. So you will write add user, user 1, after that add user, user 2, add user, user 3 until add user, user 50. Okay. In that case, instead of running that command 50 times, you can simply create loop and inside that define your task with some logic. Similarly, if you want to change the extensions of many files provided in various directories, in that case also you can use loops. So wherever you find the repetitions of the commands, in that cases you can use loops. Now loops are of three types. The first one is for loop, then while loop and then until loop. And in this video we will only be focusing on the for loop. Now before we create a shell script using for loop, let's see its variations and how it is used. So first of all, we have the general structure in which we write for and then we define the variable name. Now this variable name is user defined, so you can write here anything. After that we write here in and then provide the list. Now this particular list is space separated values. For example, in the list you can write 1 space 2 space 3 space 4 like that, or you can also provide strings. Okay. After that we write here do and then write their statements. Okay. Then we write here done. So this is the basic structure here. Now let's see some examples. So here I am writing here for I in 1 2 3 4 5. So this particular thing is our list, right? After that I am writing do and then I am writing here echo user underscore $I. Notice that I is our variable name. So how it is working right now? In the first iteration I will be holding the value of 1. Okay, so variable I has the value of 1. Then it will go to the do part and it will write this particular command. Okay, so it will give the output as user underscore 1. Why 1? Because the I variable is holding the value 1 at this moment. Okay, after that it will execute this particular line, that is echo hi. So in the first iteration the output will be user underscore 1 and hi. Then it will go for the next iteration and in the next iteration I will hold the value as 2, right? So in the next iteration it will give me output as user underscore 2 and then again hi, right? Then the iteration will again continue. In the next iteration I will hold the value of 3 and here it will be replaced with the value 3. So in that iteration, in the third iteration, the output will be user underscore 3 and also hi will be written. Same will happen for the 4 and 5. Okay, so the loop will execute until unless the values are present in the list. So there are 5 elements in the list, so loop will run 5 times. Okay, now let's see another example in which I am taking the variable name as str and in the list I am defining the strings. Okay, so I am writing here 1 2 and 3. So what will be the output? In the first iteration str will be holding the value of 1. So this particular thing will be replaced with the 1. So in the output it will be 1 is best. In the second iteration str will hold the value of 2. So it will give me output as 2 is best. And in the last iteration str will hold the value as 3 and output will be 3 is best. Okay. Now another example, here I am defining the strings and numbers together. Okay. So in the first iteration it will give me output as hello. Then in the second iteration it will give me 1. In the third it will give me again and in the fourth it will give me 2. Right. Next I have used here brace expand. So this brace expand 1 ... 10 is equivalent to writing there 1 space 2 space 3 up till 10. Okay, so the loop will run from 1 to 10 and each time the I will be holding its equivalent value. So in the first iteration the I value will be 1, in the second it will be 2, then 3, then 4 and it will run up till 10. Okay, so in the last iteration $I will give me the value as 10. With brace expand, I had given here another example in which I am writing here user brace expand or brace is 1 dot dot 10 dot 2, okay, dot dot 2. So 1 dot dot 10 dot dot 2 will actually give me 1, then it will jump to the next second character which will be third, then 5, then 7 and then till 9, okay, because the range is from 1 to 10 only and increment is by 2, okay, so every second element. Then I am writing here user also, so it will actually be expanded to user 1, then user 3, then user 5, user 7 and after that user 9. So writing braces with user is actually equivalent to this particular list, okay. So now the output will be current user is user 1, then in the next iteration current user is user 3, in the next current user is user 5 and in the next it will be user 7 and then user 9, okay. In each iteration the value holded by the I variable will get changed. Same sort of example I had given here with the command that is seq 1 to 10, okay. So if you don't know about the seq command, it basically prints me the numbers. For example, if I write here seq 1 to 10, it will give me output as 1 2 3 up till 10. Now one thing that confuses a lot is that the output here coming in line by line, right, but here I was expecting the list to be space separated, but here I am getting line by line. So what exactly is happening here? Whenever I use here dollar and then write the command in the parenthesis, then the output written by the command is space separated, not the /n or new line separated like we are seeing here, okay. Now to prove that, I'll simply create a file here with the name ss and I'll give it executable permission, okay. I'll open it and I'll create a simple bash script. I'll have the variable as var and then I'll simply write here dollar. After that I'll write here seq 1 to 10, okay, and I'm simply going to print the value of the var, right. So if I save it and run this particular script, then you will see the output is showing with the space separated, not the /n separated or line separated. So that exactly what happened here, okay. The values are coming with the space separated, not the /n separated. That is the reason this will be evaluated equivalent to 1, then space 2, then 3, 4 like till the 10, okay, and the output will be shown as in the first iteration it will hold the value as 1, then 2, then 3 like that, and the output will be 1 2 till 10, okay. Same thing happens when you run other commands also like ls command, okay. So keep this point in mind if you are using the dollar parenthesis to run the command or even if you are using the back tick to run the commands, okay. Now after that we can also use the C style for loop, which means that we are going to use the for loop like it is used in the C programming language. So if we see here a simple example, in this particular case this is similar to this one, okay. This I had written in the C programming language, so this is for the C programming and this will be for our shell script. So how exactly it works? First of all we write here for, then we write the double parenthesis, okay. After that you need to initialize a variable. For example, I am initializing here I equals to 1, okay. So I is currently holding the value as 1 and this will be our first part. If you see in its structure, so first of all this line of code will be executed, right. So I is holding the value of 1. After that it will check this particular condition. So in this part we write the condition and this part is executed in the second step, okay. So this was our first step, that is variable initialization, and after that we define here a condition. So I am defining the condition as I is less than or equals to 10, right. So I is currently 1, I is less than 10, so the condition is true. Now after that if this condition is true, then it will execute our body, okay, and if this particular condition is false, then it will terminate from the for loop and the execution will go in the next line, okay, that is after the for loop here we can say, right. So this condition at this moment is correct, then it will execute echo $i. So currently I is holding the value as 1, okay, so it will print the value as 1, right? So this will be our step 3 that will execute, that is our body, right? After that it will go with the increment or decrement part. Basically in this step we increase or decrease the value of the variable, okay? So this will be in the step 4, right? So here I am using the I++, that is basically post incrementing the value of a variable. If you don't know about the post increment operators, you can also use here I equals to I plus 1, okay? This will also increase the current value of I with the value of 1. For example, if the current value is 2, then the value of I will become 3, okay? Now I'll go through it once again. First of all, we initialize the variable, then it checks for the condition. If the condition is true, then it executes the body. After that we can increase or decrease the value of the variable, and then it will go to the condition part again, okay? It will not go to the variation initialization part, it will go to the condition, and again it will check for the condition. For example, here now the I will become 2, okay? So the 2 is still less than 10, so the condition is true. Then it will go to the body and it will print 2, right? So after checking the condition, it will again go to the body, and then after again it will go to the increment decrement part, okay? So again the value of I will increase by 1, that is I will become 3, and then again it will check the condition. So I is still less than equals to 3 and the output will be 3 now, okay? So this is how looping is happening here, okay? First we do the variation initialization, then check the condition, then execute the body if the condition is true, then we reach to the increment or decrement part, okay? After that it will again check for the condition, then it will again execute the body, then it will again go to the increment or decrement part, then again check the condition, and then again execute the body, and so on. It will move in this particular directions, okay? So these in the square bracket I had written just for the explanation purpose. So in this case our output will be 1 2 3 to the 10, okay? And the same program using the for loop in C programming language you can make in this particular way, right? So instead of writing here hello, I should have used here %d, and then I should write here I, okay? Now one more thing, it is not mandatory for you to write here anything, okay? So if you don't want to initialize here, right, for example you don't want to write here I equals to 1, but you can define here at the top also, right? So it's not mandatory to write here or here or here anything. It's up to you whether you want to use it or not, okay? Now if you want to create the infinite loop, in that case you can use this particular form. In this particular case I am not writing here anything, okay? So there is no condition, it will be evaluated to true and it will keep on executing the loop body. So the output will be high and it will keep on running forever. Now just like nested if else, you can also use the loops inside another loop. In that case we will term it as the nested loops, okay? So here I had given an example on nested for loop in which one for loop is inside the another for loop, okay? So what will happen in the first iteration, I will hold the value of file 1 and then it will run this particular body, okay? And then it will start running the loop which is inside of it. So in the first iteration of the inner for loop, the x will hold the value of web 0, okay? Because this will give me equivalent values as web 0, then web 1, then web 2 until 3, okay? So finally it will hold the value of web 3. So x will hold web 0 in the first iteration, and currently the I is holding file 1, okay? So in this case it will give me file is, I should have write here file is, it will give me output as file is file 1, right? And x is $web, so I should have written here $x, okay? Sorry for that. So $x currently having the value as web 0, so the output will be file 1 and web 0. Now remember, the inner loops will get completed first, then it will go to the outer loop. So in the next iteration the x will hold the value of web 1, but the I is still holding the value of file 1. So in the next iteration the output will be file 1 and then the web 1, right? Then in the next one the output will be file 1 and then the web 2. Again In the next iteration it will be file 1 and then the web 3, like that, right? Now once this particular for loop gets completed, then it will again go to the above for loop. So in this case I will hold the value as file 2. Okay, so the output will now be file 2 will be here, and then it will be web 0. Then again the inner loop will get execute first, so the output will be file 2 and then web 0, then file 2 web 1, file 2 web 2, file 2 and web 3, like that. Then it will go for the file 2 and similarly the output will be happen. Now let's create a shell script in which we need to add any number of users in the system. For instance, suppose I want to add users from user 51 to user 70. How can I do it? So for that I'll go to the documents and I'll create a file with the name user 20. Okay, and I will also provide it executable permission, okay, to the file user 20, right? So I'll open it, I'll write the shebang and give the interpreter program as bash, and after that I can simply write here for user, or I can use the variable name in the uppercase also, in user, let's say 51 dot to 70. Okay, and I'll write here do, and then I'll write here done, right? And after that I'll write here echo $user. Okay, so at this moment if we execute our script, then you will see it will give me output from user 51 to user 70, right? So I am going to execute it. The name was user 20 and it is giving me user 51, user 52 till the user 70, right? So this particular line, that is user bracket 51 dot 70, is actually making a list that is from user 51, then user 52 till user 70, right? Now one thing to remember, I should not create the user if the user already exists in the system. For example, currently if you will see in my system, I'll grab the user, then there are various users that are user 51, user 52, user 53, 60, 56 and user 64 are already present. So in these cases I don't want to create the users. Okay, so I also need to check that whether the given user exists in the system or not, right? So what I will do, I'll go to the shell script and then I'm going to write a very simple command, that is id, then I'll give here $user. Okay, and also I don't want to see the output of this command, so I'll redirect it to the /dev and /null. Okay, then I will store the exit status of this particular command to a variable. Okay, so what I can do, I can write here user underscore exist equals to $? So this will tell the value as 0 if the user exists and non-zero value if the user doesn't exist. Okay, after that I'll write here a very simple command, that is if $user exist, right, equals to 0. Okay, it means the user already exists in the system. Also I'll use here double quotes, right, and also the parenthesis. Okay, so if the user will exist, then what I need to do, I will simply going to echo that the user, then $user exist in the system, and if user doesn't exist, in that case I'll write here else, then echo the user $user does not exist in the system, right? And in this particular condition I am going to add the user, right? And at the end I will write here fi. Okay, since I am using here if, so I have to close with the fi, right? And also I'll change it with the the in the lower case. Okay, so now if I go and execute our currently script, then let's see what is the output. Okay, so it will give me what user exists. So user 64 exists in the system but user 65 does not. Similarly user 60 exists, or 51 exists, 52 exists. So in these cases we are not going to add the users, right? So what I will do, I will go to the script and here in this particular part we need to add the user. Okay, so first I'll write here adding $user in the system, and then I will run the add user command, okay, with the disabled password, and then I'll give here geckos option, and I will provide only the full name with the current user name. Okay, so whatever is the name of the user, for example user 51, user 52, it will be taken as the full name of the user. Okay, I am not providing here any additional information like work home number or room number. Okay, also I don't need to view this output, so I'll redirect it to the dev/null. Okay, and after that I need to do echo $user, so I'm going to change the password for this particular user, and the password will be $. Okay, so I'm giving here a very particular format here, that is user underscore at the rate 123. Okay, so for each user the password will have suffix as underscore at the rate 123 in its name. Okay, for example if the username is user 51, then the password will be user 51 underscore at the rate 123, and then I am simply going to pass it to the chpassword command. Also I don't want to view its output, so I can also redirect it to the /dev/null. Okay, so one thing that I missed here is actually giving the name of the username, so I should also give here the username that we wanted to create. Okay, so I missed it, sorry for that. So now the command will be add user, then the name of the user, which will be user 51, user 52, like that. So let me save it, and our script is complete, and let's execute our script with the sudo privileges, right? So why I am running with the sudo privileges? Because currently I am using the add user command and chpassword command that requires the sudo privileges, right? So if I press enter, then you will see it is adding the user, and for the user if already exists, it is giving me output as the user 51 exists in the system. Okay, just whatever we had defined in our script, it is giving us the output accordingly, right? So now it has added various users here in the system, and if I do here ls/home, then lots of user has been created, right? Even if I do here cat/etc and password, okay, and grab here that is user, then you will see user 51 to user 70 has been created, and the full name is equal to the name of the user. Okay, whatever we had defined in the geckos option. So this is how you can create the shell script to add multiple users using the for loop. Okay, the same thing you can also do if you want to create 100 user. Just simply change these values, right, and the 100 number of users or any number of user will be added to the system. Okay, now the same type of script you can also design to delete the user, so I already have it. So if I do here ls and go to the user 50 underscore dil, then I had already created the script. So again this is very basic script in which first it is checking that whether the given user exists or not, and if the user exists, then I am going to delete that particular user. Okay, so I am simply going to change this value for 51 till 70. Okay, so it is going to delete all the users from user 51 to user 70, right? So if I save it and I'll run this particular script with the sudo privileges, so I'll write here sudo then /user 50 underscore dil. Okay, so if I press enter, it is deleting those users. Okay, so I didn't redirect the output here, that is the reason we are watching here a lot of output. Okay, so now if I'll see that whether those user exist or not, then you will see no such user exist, right? Similarly, if I go here ls home, no such user exist, right? So this is how you can neutralize the capability of the for loop. So that's all for today guys. I hope you like the video. If you have any doubt, please comment it down. Thanks for watching and hope to see you in the next video.